Hi, this is James Paterson here for another of the Auditing in Biopharma discussion series. Lovely to see you again, Jaap.
Same here, James. I'm happy to be back.
Thank you. So we've been discussing the pharma value chain and key elements of it, and also key ways that internal audit can add value. We've done research and development, we've done manufacturing and supply, and now Jaap's going to lead us through marketing and sales. Jaap, over to you to share a few thoughts there.
Thanks, James. So when I entered this industry, I always thought about a Dutch expression that says that good wine doesn't need promotion. And I thought the same about drugs, where I thought that good drugs will be asked for by patients and therefore they will not need so much promotion. Now, the truth is quite different from that. In the world of science and of healthcare that is very complex, healthcare practitioners need to be trained about the benefits of therapies and which therapy fits best with which patient. And so in the pharmaceutical industry, marketing is about generating therapy understanding with healthcare practitioners. So we see in reality that the pharma industry spends quite substantial amounts in the area of marketing. And so the Dutch saying about good wines doesn't really apply to the pharma industry. The first topic I want to talk about is the launch readiness. The launch of a pharma product does look a little bit like the launch of a rocket. It takes a lot of preparation, and it does need rocket science to manage all the moving parts. A failed launch, like with a rocket, in a pharma product launch, the lost value cannot be recovered. And so it's really, really important that the launch is fully under control. It starts long before the launch, and it involves the marketing people working together with the people in development to make sure that the clinical trials are designed in such a way that the marketeers can use the information from the trials to influence the authorities and the physicians in a way that it meets the demand that physicians and patients have. Anything that you want to add there, James?
Yeah, I think the key thing for people to bear in mind is, as you just said, you can't just say, this is our drug, this is what it does. There's this process called market authorization, where either for the whole of the European Union or for specific markets, the regulator, based on your clinical trials, will tell you and confirm to you what this therapy is able to do and what it isn't. And so then saying, this is what the authorization is for which target groups of people, with how does that compare to other drugs, and then what are the side effects. This is an incredibly involved process. And again, internal audit can come in and probe in detail certain aspects of that to make sure that everything that's being said is indeed in line with the marketing authorization.
Good, thank you, James. A second area that needs attention from internal audit is the ethics in marketing. The industry has earned itself quite a reputation some decades ago with very intimate relationships in the commercial area between the industry and healthcare practitioners, and some very substantial fines have been handed out to the business by regulators as well. So the question is why that actually happens. So with the high stakes because of the substantial upfront investments in the product and the product development, but also the high stakes of looming profits at the end, there is quite a high risk appetite in the marketing space. We have now learned also that this business doesn't work without ethics. Success that was achieved unethically, we now know, cannot be sustained. But we have also learned that rule books and armies of compliance officers are not good enough anymore. Internal audit needs to get involved. I would even argue must start to get involved with the ethical culture that the organization has in its commercial forces. Anything you want to add there, James?
No, let's keep going in the interest of time. Thank you.
Okay, the third area that we selected to look into is the area of health economics. Today, having a drug that treats a condition as such is not good enough anymore. Apart from the innovation and the incremental performance on outcomes of the drug, there also needs to be an assessment on how the therapy adds value to the system as a whole. So, for instance, if your drug price and the reimbursement of the drugs that you distribute cost money to the system, regulators will look at whether the drug reduces healthcare costs in other parts of the system, such as, for instance, hospitalization or longer productive life of patients. These are today parameters in the value proposition that needs to be met. Now that means that managing expectations of outcomes and the delivery of value to a healthcare system need to be carefully managed. Over-optimism will be punished with disappointment, not only with regulators and patients, but also with investors. So the whole area of health economics today is crucial to market access and maintaining success in the market. Anything you want to add there, James?
I think the key thing for people to get hold of is this is an evolving field. Governments and insurance companies are increasingly reluctant to pay for a therapy that they don't genuinely feel adds value into the system and saves costs elsewhere. So therefore, pharma companies are being required, understandably, to demonstrate that this product will actually save costs elsewhere. And therefore, regulators will challenge this. But again, what internal audit can do is to really cross-check that the justification is there, so the pharma company doesn't make an over-optimistic claim about what it can do. You can see this theme here of our role to test in detail certain evidence, certain assumptions, so that we smooth the process between the pharma company and the regulators, and thus build the trust of the public and the payers.
Yes, and I think it's important to bear in mind for all those working in this industry, this whole industry is funded by healthy people. And so although we treat people that are not healthy, the money comes from the healthy people, and therefore needs to be considered that there are limits to the amount of money available in the system.
Great. So on to sales, Jaap.
Yes, the sales fulfilling the demand in the market, so to speak, is more traditional, but there are a couple of things I do want to highlight. The first part we already spoke about, which is the unreliable forecasting and poor execution in general. It has knock-on effects on all the preceding phases in the value chain. If your forecasts are not accurate, whether overly optimistic or too pessimistic, it creates problems in the supply chain in earlier stages. And so it's really, really important that the control frameworks that manage the processes of all the sales activities are robust and well monitored, not in the least the forecasting accuracy, but just the whole execution, because I mean, we're talking about customer satisfaction here. Perhaps one specific thing is the use of third parties, for instance, agents and distributors. The reliance on third parties in this area needs extra attention, because we cannot use third parties to do things that the company itself cannot do. And therefore there's a close watch needed by internal audit to see how third parties are managed.
Just a few things to add to that. The days are long gone when an organisation, and this doesn't just apply to pharma, can say, oh, well, we let our contractor do this, the problem is theirs. Pharmaceuticals companies feel intensely that they will be held responsible for what third parties do on their behalf. And therefore, there's a huge amount of effort that's gone into contract management and also processes for assuring that what the third party is doing is in line with what the pharmaceuticals company expects. And then, as you said, yeah, we play in internal audit, potentially a crucial role, either to visit ourselves or to join others to check that those third parties are doing what they say they should be doing. And again, this just adds to the interest of working in pharma, because you won't necessarily just be auditing within your own organization. You may be dealing with other organizations and finding out how they're getting the assurances to make sure that the whole supply chain and sales flow is working. Any final comments, Jaap, or have we done now?
Well, you said why it's interesting to work in pharma, but I would also add why it's so interesting in internal audit, because you get to see all those things.
Lovely, fantastic. So we'll be back again for another recording soon. Thanks again, Jaap.
Thank you, James, and speak to you soon again.
Thank you, bye.